Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. This time I'm doing a video response to Sprites and Bytes. He put out 10 questions, fighting style. So essentially these are questions that are all fighting game related. So let's get started. I have the questions here, so yeah, let's get going. Number one, what was the first fighting game that I remember? I have to say, while there were quite a few I think I played on the 8-bit systems, my memory of those are quite hazy. I do believe one of them was Karate Champ on the NES, I think. Sort of one of the early sort of one-on-one fighters that I played, but the one that really sticks out to me the most is definitely Street Fighter 2 in the arcades. Because back in the early 90s, I used to spend a lot of time in the arcades, and for whatever reason, I completely missed out on Street Fighter the original, but Street Fighter 2 was definitely the game that I spent a lot of time on, pumped a lot of money into. So yeah, Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, definitely one of the earliest games that I ever played, and I love to this day. Okay, oops. Let's see here, lost my questions. Okay, next one. Number two, what is your favourite fighting game series? Well, in relation to what I was saying in the first question, it's Street Fighter. I love the Street Fighter series. Since the first time I played it, I'm still a fan of the series today. I really like the Alpha series. When that series first came out, I was a little bit unsure of it, but as the series sort of carried on, I became more and more of a fan. I enjoy Street Fighter 3. Hell, I even enjoy the Street Fighter movie game. You know, I'm a big fan of the series. Really do love it. So yeah, the Street Fighter series. Question number three: arcade stick or controller? Well, most people might think I would prefer a fighting stick, but the reality is I actually do prefer a controller. For the earlier days anyway, for the earlier consoles. With today's more recent consoles, I tend to find the D-pads very difficult to work with when it comes to fighting games. So I'm definitely going to have to go with a arcade stick with more recent games. But generally, I do prefer a control pad. Question number four: which three characters are you most comfortable playing as? Well, the first character that instantly comes to mind for me is Ken from Street Fighter 2. I've always preferred Ken over Ryu, just simply because I prefer his Dragon Punch over Ryu's. Yeah, he's just always the one that I tend to sort of navigate towards. Other characters in other games, I also enjoy playing as Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat series. I really do like the Mortal Kombat series, and Sub-Zero is definitely my favourite character in that series. And I also like Terry Bogard from the King of Fighters / Fatal Fury series. I always tend to play as him. So yeah, those are my three characters. Okay, question number five. Which fighting game got you most angry and why? I'm probably going to have to say the Killer Instinct, both the Super Nintendo and arcade game, which is quite funny because I own Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo, and I even own the Killer Instinct Super Nintendo bundle box, but I just can't get on with it. I can't pull off any of the moves. I am no good at pulling off combos in that game, which is strange because in other fighting games I can pull off combos, but I just can't get on with it. My brain won't register it. I can't seem to to play at any decent level. So, and it gets frustrating because I watch other people play and they make it look so easy, but I just can't get on with the game for whatever reason. I don't know. It doesn't flow for me. Number six: if you could be a fighting game character, who would it be? Let's see. I'm gonna be boring because I know I've already brought him up, but I'm gonna have to say Ken because number one, he's a good guy, you know, and you look at his backstory. I mean, let's break it down. He's an excellent fighter. He's rich. He's famous, and he's got a girl. Can't get any better than that, really. You know, he's got his great family life, you know, and he's got his street fighting lifestyle. You know, I mean, he's much better than Ryu. I mean, Ryu, he's a bum. You know, he lives on the streets. He earns no money. But yeah, I definitely have to go with Ken. He just seems to have it all, really. Okay, next question. Let's see here. On question number 7. If you could take two companies and merge them together to make one fighting game, what would be the results? Let's see. Well, I'm going to make the first company just a default company simply because I love the roster, and that'd be Capcom. I think Capcom just have such a strong roster across the board. I'd probably always want to include them. So but if I was to sort of make another versus game, I would say Capcom versus Hasbro. If you don't know about Hasbro, Hasbro is the toy company that owns the rights to the Transformers series and the G.I. Joe / Action Force series. I would love to see a game with Capcom characters versus like Optimus Prime or Cobra Commander. Just like an excellent sort of 2D game. I would love to see something like that. Let's see here. Number 8. Which video game series that does not have a fighting game to it would work just as good as a fighting game also? Now, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here because this series that I'm going to bring up technically does have a fighting game, but you'll understand my reasons. Here it is. The game series that I would pick is the Castlevania series. Now, I'm well aware that there is a fighting game for that series. It's called Castlevania Judgment and it's on the Wii. I'm well aware of that, but that game is a piece of crap. No one likes to talk about it, but if it was up to me, I would get Capcom to make it, and it would be a 2D fighter. Well, Capcom or maybe Arc System Works, either way. And it would be a 2D hand-drawn game. I mean, could you just imagine it? Just picture this. You've got a beautiful 2D hand-drawn Castlevania game, and the roster of characters. I mean, you've got Dracula, obviously. You've got Alucard, Richter, Simon, Trevor Belmont. Jonathan Morris from Castlevania Bloodlines, Eric Lecard again from Castlevania Bloodlines. You've got the characters from the DS games like Soma Cruz from Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow. I mean, there's so many characters. I'm sure they could come up with a storyline that would somehow enable them all to be in one space, and they would all sort of fight characters, and that'd be awesome. I mean, there'd be so many characters to choose from, and then of course you've got the villains as well. You know, you could have a Frankenstein monster in there, or a werewolf, or whatever. But it would be so awesome. I'd love to see. I'd give anything to see a 2D Castlevania fighting game. Okay, I seem to have lost my questions here, so bear with me one moment. Okay, so question number 9. Which retro fighter do you feel should make a comeback? Now, I've got to give it Spritesnbytes. You made a really good one when you brought up Rival Schools. That is definitely a series that needs to make a comeback. I had Rival Schools on the PlayStation 1. It was a fantastic sort of 3D fighter from Capcom that was all centered around high schools. I think that definitely needs to make a comeback. But my choice would definitely have to be the Darkstalkers series. I know Capcom kind of wanted to do it, and they sort of tested the waters when they sort of re-released the first 2 Darkstalkers games as digital downloads. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to sell well, but that was because most of the fans of Darkstalkers already owned the games, and we just wanted a brand new game. But because Capcom felt that the DLC didn't sell well, they opted not to make a brand new game, which I think is stupid. We all want to see a new game, Capcom. We want to see a brand new Darkstalkers game. Give it to us. Don't give us re-releases. Give us a brand new game, please. Rant over. And finally, question number 10. Who in the land of YouTube would you like to challenge at a fighting game of your choosing? I couldn't really narrow it down to one person, really. I mean, most of the people that I generally interact with on YouTube, I would love to have a game with them. You know, any game really, just to sit down with them, have a game, have a chat, have a bit of banter. Anyone really, anyone that generally communicates with me regularly on YouTube is generally someone I would like to challenge at a fighting game. So I'm sorry, I'm not picking anyone in particularly, but you know, there's a lot of people that I know. I suppose no one really comes to mind, but it's only because there's a lot of people that I'd leave out, so I don't really want to do that. As yeah, there's a lot of people that I know on YouTube that I would love to sit down and challenge at a game of Street Fighter. So that's it. That's the 10 questions done. Thank you very much to Sprites and Bytes for putting out the questions. I did enjoy making this video and just sort of giving out my thoughts on those questions. And I'm going to leave you there, guys. So before I go, I will just say, anyone who opposes me will be destroyed. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.